me say a special good morning to those of you listening to Classic Radio, those of you viewing via GBN TV. Good morning. Those of you via social media platforms. Let me say healthy good morning to you also. And welcome to this edition of To The Point. Today being Tuesday, it's the 23rd day of July. Time is on the move, man. Time is on the move. So we're going to be wrapping up the month of July pretty quick. Just like July started just the other day that we had Hurricane Beryl and everything else. And look at almost at wrapping up the month of July. Welcome, folks. I'm your host, GT, and with me, it's up today on the program representing the New National Party is Opposition Day on the program today. We have the General Secretary of the New National Party. That's Mr. Roland Bhola. Let's go over to Mr. Bhola and say good morning, Mr. Bhola. How are you this morning, sir? And welcome to the program this morning. How are you doing this morning, sir?
Good morning to you, GT. Good morning to the staff of GDN, and of course to the listening public. It's really a good morning for me. Thank you for having me on. Started really sunny and bright this morning up my neck of the woods, but we had a little shower maybe 15-20 minutes ago, so it's good.
All right. Tell me, the New National Party post-burial, how's everything going? If there's any information that you want to share to get the ball rolling this morning, in reference to the National Party, tell us what's going on with the New National Party.
Well, as a party, we continue to do the things that we believe is expected of us. We are a serious political party. Internal-wise, we have our own issues and concerns that we are working on behind the scenes. However, what takes precedence now is the whole issue of how we can assist as a political party, as an organized team of people with the work that needs to be done. We have had the hurricane, as you mentioned earlier on, and it concerns us as patriotic Grenadians with where we are, the damages that was done, and how quickly can we work on things to bring life back to some level of normalcy, especially for the people of Carriacou and Petit Martinique, and to some extent the northern part of the island, because these are the areas that was most severely damaged by Hurricane Beryl, and as such would need more of the assistance than the rest of Grenada. And not that in other parts of St. Andrews, St. David's, parts of St. George's, not that they did not get touched, but in terms of the severity, those are the three areas were the ones that were most severely damaged. So we are doing our work in the meantime.
All right. Let's continue to speak this morning on relatively the efforts that have been put out in terms of the relief efforts, I should say, from the New National Party. Speaking to, of course, one of the representative one of the MPs that represents in your organization, the New National Party, Emily Pierce, we spoke a couple of weeks ago as related to the efforts in terms of what will be taking place in Carriacou. Had a chit chat last week with Senator Nolan Cox. He spoke about issues inside of Carriacou. Tell us on the ongoing relief from the New National Party in terms of what you folks are doing to help the folks inside of the sister island, also folks in the northern part of the island. Tell us about some of the continued efforts in terms of relief that is going on within that the New National Party, the initiative that they're taking in terms of the relief efforts.
Okay, I'll tell you that, but let me just make it clear, absolutely clear from the onset, because we have heard comments that tend to trivialize what we're doing or in some way politicize it, with some people saying, where were we and whether we think we are government or not. And absolutely not. There is not for a moment that the New National Party feels or believes that we are in government or even thinks that we must take the place of government. Absolutely not. We don't have that thought in our mind at all. As a matter of fact, our political leader, we did very early send out or at least invite the government to say to them, look, we have had a track record. We have done this before. We have had disasters that we have managed, Ivan, Emily. And of course, if the government see the need or feels necessary for any assistance of any kind, you can tap into us. We will always be willing, we are ready, and we will join forces and see whatever we can do, whether it's to be on some body, some group, some advisory, in whatever capacity the government do feel that they may need us, we are willing to help. Thus far, we have not heard anything from the government. But we still decided as a party, we are organized. We have our tentacles in almost every constituency, every village. There are people there who will and are members of the Union National Party and represent what we stand for. So we decided that with the need that arises as a result of the hurricane, there are a couple of initiatives that we can take. So we decided there was a special committee formed, or a subcommittee of the executive, if we can call it that, to take specific or to have specific focus on areas where we believe we can give assistance. And that is without in any way trying to interfere with what the government is doing, what NADMA is doing, but on our own. And so there were a couple of initiatives taken, especially in Carriacou and to a lesser extent Petit Martinique, where the idea came up in collaboration with members on the ground in Carriacou, that with the level of destruction to homes and so, it was very difficult for some people who were in shelters. In some instances, some people were still living under tents and tarpaulins to get a hot meal on a daily basis. So with assistance from members of the public and other sources that we were able to tap into, we had started something that we refer to as Meals on Wheels, where there is a group of ladies and a couple of men with them who have been cooking on a daily basis and providing a hot lunch or a hot meal to whoever it is that desires to come to have that. We look at the immediate health situation, not necessarily in terms of the dispensation of medication and so, but a lot of the toilet facilities being down and so on, people not having proper place for utilization for when you want to excrete and so. And with assistance from some people again, we were able to bring in to Carriacou some portable toilets and the trucks was made available for the cleaning and emptying of the stuff and so. And at the moment, we are working, putting together some teams. We have sent 2 teams to Carriacou already, and we are working on providing more, because now, as the days and weeks go by, some people are beginning to see the way, and some have reported that they can now find some building material. They have rescued some, and they are in position, or should soon be in position, where they can have some more, and they will probably need some assistance in terms of re-roofing or rebuilding, repairing, if you want to call it, the dwelling house. And so we are seeing how many people from mainland we can put together as supporters of the party, just willing Grenadians who can go up to Carriacou from time to time and give assistance in that area. We are still talking to friendly people outside of Grenada, contacts that we have had before, people who have contacted us because of the friendly relationships that we had, and we are asking of them to provide whatever they can in terms of still food stuff, building materials. In some instances, some people may want to send finances, whatever it is they can, that will all go towards assisting, not just, as we say, Carriacou and Petit Martinique, which is where we have the major focus now because they were the worst hit. But also we do have some people locally. In the northern part of the island, like we said, St. Patrick's, St. Mark's, St. John's, to a certain extent, that we can reach out to as well and give some assistance.
Okay, great. You made some clarification of course when you started to speak in relation to my last question asked. Persons or some folks are looking at this particular initiative put on by the New National Party as a way of political sparring for some reason or the other. What's your take on that, Mr. Bhola?
Well, let's be very frank, GT. We are all into politics. We are a political party. Yes? And of course, there may be some political capital at the end of the day, but the initiative is not to seek political capital. We are Grenadians before we are NNP or NDC or GOLP or whatever we are. And this is our Grenadian brothers and sisters, and we have not gone anywhere where we have been so far and make a determination that we're going to help only people who fly a green flag and forget who fly a yellow or a blue or a red flag. We are helping who we can, and we are looking for people who we think are most in need of our assistance at this time. We are not trying to prevent any other person from helping. Some people say, well, you're not in government. The government has to do its due. The government has its responsibility. And so far, in no way, shape, or form, I don't believe that we are trying to prevent the government. We have not gotten into the way. We have not jumped in front of them to do anything. We are just on the sideline giving assistance like any other group or organization. We have churches that are putting groups of people together and doing different things, whether they are providing food or they're providing packages, gift baskets, whatever we call them, or they are helping building. There are those who are helping with cleaning. You have the Samaritan person and different names, groups you can call. Just like that, we are an organized group. Yes, a political group, but we are a body of organized people who has the nation's good at heart. And that's what we are doing. And for those who see differently, well, I'm sorry, but of course they have a mind of their own. But we can also look at it. The government is doing, which is what they are supposed to do. This is why they are in government. People have voted into office so that in times like this and other times they can keep the country going, keep the country safe, and provide for people what is necessary. But they also have a party, because parties are who are voted in the government. The party can do as well, separate and apart from the government, because it's a distinct line between what party does and what government does. And I have not heard, maybe they have, but I have not heard of the NDC as a party doing anything so far. So there are those who would criticize and say, well, you're just trying to politicize things and you're doing it for, it's a political agenda and you're doing it for political purposes. Like I've said, there could be some political capital coming as a result, but that is after the fact. What is immediate and what we are concentrating on is the lives of people and how can we help to enhance it in a difficult time after the passage of a serious hurricane.
Okay, let me also ask you this. You mentioned that, of course, the new National Party, the opposition party, reached out to the ruling administration, and of course, there was no response, as you mentioned. Has there been any efforts to recontact, and of course, with the vast experience that the new National Party may have had, in the past in terms of Hurricane Ivan and so forth, any option of reconnecting to just a way of offering any other advice that you may have as mentioned?
If there was any further attempt,
yes,
I am not privileged to that. And like I said, to my knowing, up to a couple of days ago, we had a meeting and nothing was mentioned of the government reaching back or any member of the government saying, well, look, we wish to have you do X, Y, or Z. Maybe in their busyness and they trying to do all of what needs to be done, they probably haven't had time to consider, or they're not given thought. Maybe they have sufficient expertise within their ranks that can deal with the issue as it is. So we are not mad or we're not angry. We're just doing what we think we can do in the meantime as much as we can. We are going to extend ourselves as much as we could and help as many people as is possible that we can do. Making our contribution in the best way possible.
So what do we do for a break? Let's take it when we come back. We continue the conversation. It's To The Point here on Classic Radio and GBN TV. We'll be right back, folks. Stay with us. Get ready.
Fly the Jones, Switch, it's Lava Man. It's all about spice up the Cyanide Soca Monarch competition. It starts on the 26th of July. It's going to go on to the 2nd of August, then the 9th for the finals. I will be the host. Fly the Jones, Switch. Get there, see you there, be there. Nothing but vibes. Real mashup, yeah? Mad.
Coming up, African emancipation celebrations build towards the big day. Crop Over rolls towards its own colorful conclusion. One of this region's top banks continues to demonstrate the power to make a difference. Welcome to another award-winning Home Away from Home. Caribbean athletes ready for the world. Souvenirs stitched from scratch. It's all next on this station.
Flatlands, Park, Ship, and Print, together with Concept Events, present Pre-Day, the biggest show in Grenada's Carnival. Wednesday, August 7th, Grenada National Stadium. Gates open at 9 p.m. Showtime 10 p.m. A celebration of the Jab, featuring the Minister of Jab, the Jab Boss, Talpri. I am the Jab Boss. Certain things I end. Also featuring guest performances by TNT's Road March King, Mikhail Tasia, Nadia Batson and Sass, Cohen Dubois, Problem Child, Lil Rick, Med Pipe and Sadist, Lyrical, Wasway, Boise, Lava Man, Vaughn, Terror, The Governor, Skinny Banter, Super Flying Flip, Muddy, and Squeezehead, Temperance Dash, and a whole lot more. Also, a special surprise guest. All early bird tickets are sold out. Get your $100 regular tickets right now, and also get your VIP $600 tickets. It is the biggest event to touch down this Carnival 2024. Pre-Day.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers. It's to the point here on Classic Radio, GBN TV. Once again, good morning to those of you via our social media platform. Let me say welcome back to Mr. Roland Bhola, of course, the General Secretary of the new National Party. Mr. Bhola, welcome back to the point this morning here. Let's continue with our conversation this morning. Let's continue, of course, with the post. Hurricane Beryl. Let's talk a wee bit about some of the concerns of the new National Party as it relates, I should say, to the relief efforts. Any concern along that line from the new National Party as an opposition?
Of course, we do have a few concerns. Bearing in mind that the place has been devastated. As I said, the northern side of the island and Carriacou and Petite Martinique. We are a little bit concerned about the pace at which recovery is happening. Yes, no one expected government to have every single thing in place. Absolutely not, because you can never fully plan for these events. Of course, you can have some things in place, you can have tentative plans, but sometimes the magnitude at which the destruction comes overwhelms the people that are in charge. But we are worried that we are not hearing, in some instances, especially about the farmers, because mind you, the destruction was not just to homes. A lot of roofs were blown off, a lot of houses crumbled, government buildings in some instances. And so in places where you might have thought you could house people after a disaster like that, you couldn't immediately because they too got damaged. But we are concerned that probably we are not seeing a fast enough pace because some monies have come in. Remember, after Hurricane Ivan, based on our experience, the government got into the CRIF insurance thing that has already made payments, I think to the tune of $140 or so million. And then you have the destruction of farmlands and farms, where most of the trees in a lot of parts of the island went down. The farmers, the nutmegs, the cocoa being damaged, bananas hitting the ground, fruit trees. And so I know, being a farmer myself, that the Ministry of Agriculture has been doing some assessment. How far they have gotten with that, I can't say, really. I don't have inside knowledge, but they have been going out, the Extension Division, and probably they have added, I don't know, people to that. And they've been doing some assessment. And one part of the insurance had to do with farmers, where there should be some compensation. Now, we have to take into effect that there's now about 3 weeks or so has already passed since the passage of the hurricane. And many of these farmers, or the majority of them, who have lost the entire holdings and so depend solely on that for the survival. That's how they make a living. That's how they take care of their family, how they provide for their children's schooling and so on. Now we're into the August holidays. They have to prepare for September back to school. In some instances, you have those who are transiting from one school to the next, from primary to secondary, from secondary to tertiary education and so on. It calls for some spending. So these people are concerned about where next, where is the next dollar? Will there be some assistance from government, yes or no? And I am not saying that government will not assist. I don't know. We are just saying we are concerned at the slow pace in which things are happening. We are not hearing enough. Maybe they're already backroom planning, but if that's the case, at least someone should come out and say and delay the fear, because as you go around and you meet people and you talk with them, these are some of the concerns they're raising. What do I do next? There are some farmers who now wondering whether or not they should even go back into farming, because as you may know, or the Grenadian public know, the age group of our farming community is, in the 50s and upwards. Yes, we have some young people, they are more into the shorter version, the vegetable type, what we call the short crop version. But the people who really stick to the medium and long-term crops, the cocoa, the nutmeg, the fruits, soursop and sugar apples and so, are mainly middle-aged into the older group.
Okay, great. You spoke a wee bit as it terms to the CRIF funds.
So,
from the New National Party perspective, where do you think that the funds, where did the immediate attention should be focused on in terms of the CRIF funds? I think we're having a bit of connection problem there with Bhola. I hope we get it back. But
I'm hearing you quite clear. I don't know if you are hearing me.
I am hearing you well now. I was asking in terms of as in relation to the CRIF funds that was received by government. Where do you think the immediate attention should be focused on?
Well, there are quite a few areas. Actually, there is no one single area that deserves to have all of the funds. And I don't think it should be one area at a time. If the government has the capacity, the human capacity to expend the monies and to do it well and can account for it, I believe definitely the farmers need to get something done or need to know what will be done with them, whether you have to quickly assess the damage and they get assistance based on the level of damage, or you look at the acreage. I don't know how they want to work it out, but if you do have the human capacity, and if you don't, you probably should seek technical assistance, maybe from friendly government. I've heard our Prime Minister say that the CARICOM region had stood up well and had given good assistance. Maybe they can assist us with a few technical people if we are short on that. And I'm not saying we are, but we just find as a party that it's a little slow for things to unveil. You have some critical area with housing. You have concerns about some of the Chinese houses, those probably that are not yet sold and don't have private ownership. In Carriacou in particular, there was some minimal damage as far as we understand, and that was given as a reason why people couldn't occupy them temporarily with their homes down. Maybe some funds should go quickly into that to do the minimal repairs and have people transfer to them until their own homes can be reconstructed or repaired. So there are several areas. There are still some areas where probably health facilities and so have been destroyed or damaged, and some very significant and are deemed unusable at the moment. Maybe you should have some repairs being done there quickly. There are cases where people are just asking for more hands-on, more assistance to clean the area, to get rid of debris and garbage, and so maybe you can employ a few younger, stronger people with good supervision, making sure that they give good value for money and deploy them into the areas that still need some of this cleanup and some of this assistance. So there's not just one area. It is just the slowness of things happening we're very concerned about, because while that is happening, you have people living under and in some instance, almost inhumane condition, and that needs to improve quickly because it can lead to further degradation of the health and the surroundings and can have a lot of social and psychological effect on them down the line.
In terms, you speak a whole lot on the slow pace. In your personal feeling, what areas do you think that needs to be improved on? Because we've gone from relief to recovery. What areas do you think it certainly need to be improved on a whole lot in the whole process of getting things back to a level of normalcy?
Well, like I said, I do not know the reason for the slow pace. We as a party keep trying to assess ourselves. It's a lack of relevant information coming as to why things are not happening yet. I don't know if it's a lack of the human resource, because that too can stagnate things. Sometimes you have the money, you have the funds, but if you don't have the people to implement what needs to happen quickly, that could be a hold up. So maybe some of that funds could be used to hire temporary staff. Maybe there can be, as I mentioned before, a request for assistance from friendly regional governments or international people with the experience in dealing with disaster to come in, maybe a month or two to help us get things kick-started, and then our people can take over. But you need to see the spending starting, because people are hurting. There are a lot of people who still doesn't know where to turn, what next to do. They need to have some hope. Because the longer it takes to give hope to these people, to let these people know clearly this is what is going to be meted out to you down the line. It may take another week, it may take another month, but sure, this is what we are going to do. The easier it will be on them psychologically, because you can have, after a disaster like that, you can have a lot of social problems within the community, young children, parents. So you don't want to move from one stage of a disaster to another, where instead of you seeing improvement, not just with the rebuilding of homes or the replanting of the fields, but also with the social life of people. You want people to feel relief to a certain extent, that yes, I know I will be taken care of, or I will be assisted in getting back on my feet. And these are the ways. It might be slow, but a promise was made, and we see it happening. It has started in one area. It will definitely continue in another area. These are the kind of things we think that needs to happen, and happen quickly, for people to feel good about getting back to normalcy.
You spoke a lot, of course, about the concerns that you have in relations to what, of course, you notice the ruling administration is doing post-Beryl. Is there anything that the government has done or is doing thus far that the New National Party as an opposition may have been is pleased with? If I could ask you that particular question.
Oh yes, you can, and of course, credit is given where credit is due. I think the Prime Minister himself, making himself present on the ground on many occasions, very early after the disaster, I think that is heartwarming. Sometimes when people see the leader himself being present and showing some interest, that gladdens and warms their heart a little bit and gives a glimmer of hope. What needs to follow is implementation, as quickly as possible. If it was a case where we were still cash-strapped and hunting for funds, then one would have to understand that while you have good intentions and you don't have the money to get things done, well, there could be delays that is not on your doing. But we already have some funds, so let us, and mind you, I am not saying, or the New National Party is not advocating that you just throw money over the place, all over the place without proper planning or making sure that there is value and there's good reason for spending it where you're going to spend it. We're just saying that this is a disaster. And in times like this, you need to get on the ball as quickly as possible. So there are some things that has happened. That was on the ground. Of course, yes, with little hiccups here and there. But now we have an opportunity to improve and to do better than we have done initially in the first or second week. So let's get it going. Let's see things start happening so that the hope people need to have, they can have it, because our government is at work.
All right, great. Mr. Bhola, we drew for a break again. Let's take that break. We come back. We continue with our conversation. Stay with us here on To The Point. We will be right back after the break. Stay with us, folks.
Last day I had a dream. It was a scary scene. A dream of soca monarch. Watch how the place mash up from front to back. Whoa, last day I dream. Soca monarch will never be the same. I say I dream. After last day I coming back again. Tell them I dream that people will be shouting out my name. I say I dream. Soca monarch. Last day I take something and show me. Of course, right now, my name is Shamak. I want to say thank you so much to each and every one of you outside here for the support, for the continuous love from since last year to this year. Thank you so much to GBN, Again, just want to say to look out for Shamak in Groovy semifinals, in Power Soca Monarch semifinals, and most importantly, GBN Spice of the Carnage Soca Monarch. I definitely will be there as well, performing beautiful song, Dream. So look out for you guys there for the support. Thank you so much, Shamak.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers. It's To The Point here on Classic Radio, GBN TV. With me this morning, we have the General Secretary of the New National Party, the opposition party here in Grenada, on the program with us this morning. And let's say welcome back and once again to Mr. Bhola. Mr. Bhola, good morning and welcome back on the program this morning, sir. We spoke a whole lot about the relief that was thrown out by the New National Party. We spoke a whole lot about efforts that have been put out there by the ruling administration in terms of the relief process and so forth. What are the main initiative would you say the New National Party as being the opposition here in Grenada? You spoke a wee bit in the introduction of the program this morning. What are the main initiative the New National Party would like to see the government, of course, implement in terms of helping in the recovery process, especially in the Sister Isle of Carriacou and also the northern part of the island? And you also did mention, there are parts of St. Mark's and St. John who also may had some not major but minor damages in those areas. What are the main initiative would you like to see the government implement in terms of getting these things up and running in terms of the recovery efforts to those areas that are so badly damaged, who are still individuals who are still in the shelters and so forth, who are just maybe not have the capacity to help themselves in that particular way? Tell us a wee bit about that.
Excellent opportunity, GT, for government to provide some temporary employment for people in general, but mainly our youth. This is an area where we know unemployment has been high among our younger population. There again, you need to select those who are willing to help reconstruct. We have spoken to people who have said since the passage, they have seen no one come in their premises or in their vicinity, as a matter of fact, to do any sort of assessment, whether it's for housing or any other thing. I happen to know through a colleague that some housing assessment was done maybe 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago in the St. Patrick's, St. Mark's, St. John's area. Like most other things, even when you do those things, there are a few people that may get missed for various reasons, either they weren't present at the time when their teams visited the area, or they were in a location that someone didn't remember or no one remembered at the time to point out that there are two people living way down at the back there or something like that. So sometimes people get mixed, and that is understood. But when those complaints come, we should, as administration, do the best we can once the information reaches us to get people to visit these people. And when we do, like I say, we need to do proper planning, and everything that we attempt to do it better than we had it done before. But you mentioned the fact that there are so many people still in shelters and things like that. And I mentioned one of the things that probably could have been done with immediate effect from the time we receive funds. You use some of the funds to do the minor repairs to some of the government buildings or facilities, and of course the Chinese houses. I know that they were up for sale earlier on, so those that have not been the apartment buildings or the single houses that have not been sold yet, maybe if they are quickly repaired, they could be used as temporary housing in the meantime until people can get their permanent place repaired. There may be some houses that probably just lost their roof or some sheets of galvanized, and probably not the entire structure being damaged, and government can probably look at those and have small teams going around assisting, whether you select the teams from the neighborhood or you have to bring in one or two technical people, because you must, in those things, have someone that has a good experience and ideas how to rebuild it, not just throwing a couple of nails, but doing it proper, while temporary but proper, and then you work on how you will do the more permanent structures. This may take a little bit more planning, may have to have the involvement of engineers and whatever else, I don't know. Maybe there are some locations where people were that may be not suitable for rebuilding because of the exposure to the elements. And we know from the experts that hurricanes and things will become more frequent. As a matter of fact, the whole year may be soon declared as hurricane season, because the seasons are getting longer, the hurricanes are getting stronger, because of the whole issue of climate change and global warming and so, which is another subject matter by itself. So we do understand that in some instances, some harsh decision or hard decisions may have to be made, or maybe better foundation, whatever, the building code, they may have to look at it to be more hurricane resistant houses and so. So the very major spending may not happen instantly, because there could be reasons for deeper and more serious planning. But we believe some temporary work can get on the way to get people's life back to some kind of level of respectability until you can do more. And if you are going to do it that way, and I'm not saying that's what they have to do, let the information be clear, so at least people know what is happening, what is the reason for the delay, why we are not getting the kind of assistance we were hoping to have by this time. If the information is clear and all there, people can use it and to delay the fears and the concerns.
You spoke a whole lot about the assessment process, and of course, some folks would say, well, it's only been 3 weeks since the hurricane has passed. So we, especially within the Sister Isle of Carriacou, was with the devastation is, of course, was at a magnitude. Folks would mention and say, well, it's only been 3 weeks, and we know the last couple of weeks, the last 2 weeks or so, we know there've been the process of individuals leaving the mainland, going up to do the cleaning. So we understand the process may not have gotten to, the process of assessment may not have fully been implemented 100%. But what have you been hearing, sir, from especially supporters of the new National Party in terms of that assessment process of who may think they're in a point of readiness to have their property rebuilt and so forth, and looking for the necessary assistance from government? What have you been hearing on that level?
Well, I didn't mention or touch on that a little bit. People are getting assessed. There have been some who have reached out to us through our representative of there, and I did say that as a party, we were organizing a team. We are in the process of doing. There's a small committee, a subcommittee of the executive that is working on that in terms of the cleaning and assisting to clean up. And so we had 2 teams that went up on the initiative of the party. Excuse me. And so for those who believe that they are in a position, there were some people who have said, well, look, they have rescued some materials and within days or weeks, they would have some balances. They would get some more, either by their own initiative or through assistance. And they was requesting from us assistance to repair roofs and so on. That's why we are putting together more teams that can go up maybe on weekends. Some people may have the ability to spend a week or 2 weeks and to give some of those assistance. So like I say, yes, the government is doing what they're doing. There are some areas and some issues that will take a longer time than others. And that is fine. No one is saying that we expect you to have the whole place back to normalcy in 3 weeks. What we are saying is that there are some areas, and I mentioned a couple of them, like the Chinese houses, that we understand had minimal damage. In some areas, some sheets of galvanized may have been removed by the heavy winds. There are areas where there were broken windows, and so we were saying that from the funding that was received, maybe that's a way where you could have brought in some people already, do some spending and quickly repair that. There are some other government facilities that may have had minimal damages. Now, for the major works, it must take time. Engineering people may have to be involved. You'd have to do better planning. And so for homes that were completely demolished and you have to rebuild it completely, government may want to take a different approach. Rather than building individual houses, they may have other ideas in mind. And of course, these things take time. But there are a few immediate things that can be done to ease the pressure on the people at the moment, the pressure on the homes where they are, the facilities that are overcrowded. And so if you can move some people out and lighten up this situation, these are the emergency things that we're talking about that we're hoping to see government put a handle on at the early stages.
Government, let me also ask you this, Mr. Bhola. Government did mention about that they would be introducing some incentive packages, for the rebuilding process and so forth. They even have some initiative push out, the free barrel and all of these initiatives been thrown out thus far. What more do you think the government can do to alleviate, especially for individuals in the sister house who are really more felt the destruction of Hurricane Bhola? In some of the initiative packages or the incentive packages that has been mentioned thus far, how do of course the NMP see those packages being beneficial in any way at all?
Well, they are beneficial. If people have the means, they have the relatives, they have the friends, they have people abroad who are going to send them packages and government has taken the initiative to allow you to go duty free. It's of course a great assistance, a great help. In harsh times like that, it will be difficult to come up with the finances. So what the government is doing, we applaud it. It's good. But it can only reach so far. And the question you're asking is a question that I've answered several times. We are not blaming government because it's a disaster. We are not saying that the government is in a position and had everything in place to bring everything back to normalcy. No, absolutely not. We are saying that there are a few things, and I mentioned some of them. Where you have roofs that were not completely destroyed, where it takes a small amount that the houses might be still stable. It doesn't take much, and it's an excellent opportunity for government to give some temporary employment to a few people. You have those who are willing to just give some assistance. You have some young people who can travel along and help nail up things, under the guidance of and supervision of a technical person. And with that, at the shelters, you may be able to start moving a few people back to their homes. But these are for the properties that were temporarily damaged. Where you have major destruction and you have complete rebuilding, we expect that to take a bit more time. So I think I've explained that well enough. So the areas that concerns us is the temporary things that probably could be done, and the fact now, and I've said it before, if it was a situation where there was no funding available, then we had to say, well, maybe government is willing, but there's no funding. But there have been some funding. And again, I want to be absolutely clear on that, because sometimes people misconstrue what you're saying and what you're thinking. We are not in any way saying that because there is funding, government must just go and throw money all over the place. Absolutely not. We're saying a small portion with a specific aim. And I keep mentioning the Chinese houses and, of course, some other government facilities that needs minimal repair and can house some people in the meantime, can make the condition under which they are being housed much lighter, much easier, much better for them, much safer for them. The overcrowding in some areas, you can ease that off if temporarily you can do some repairs to some of these places and move in a few people, and while you're doing that, you have the other teams working on the more permanent structure and how you would do it and how you would build back better. I also said that build back better, bearing in mind that we can see more frequent hurricanes, more stronger hurricanes, and the hurricane season going for a longer period.
All right. Mr. Bhola, we drew for a break, our final break on the program this morning. When we do come back, for you listeners and viewers out there, if you do have a question or two, you may like to ask Mr. Bhola, feel free to do it in the next segment. We will be right back after the break. Stay with us.
Get them dressed. We're heading out to total fun and excitement. It's Uncle Talbrig Kids Fest, Saturday, 27th July. More rides, more slides, more go-kart, more horseback riding, more games, more bouncy castle, and much more face painting. And all rides are free. Huh? That's right, all rides are free. Just get the kids in. Plus, much more cartoon characters. All the kids' favorite Canadian superstars will be there. Live. Talbrig, Baby Bree, Lava Man, Boise, Westway, Dash, Temptress, Superfly and Flint, Little Cello, Muddy and Squeezehead, Soca Jeff, and more. Saturday, 27th July, Monroe's Playing Field, 2 p.m. to 9 p.m. Admission adults, $20. Children, pay $10. It's their special occasion. Uncle Talbrig's Kids Fest 2024. It's gonna be bigger and better. I am the Jumbo.
I want you to control your anger. There's a way to feel better. That's one thing to remember. No matter where you are, you can be a star. Stop and take a deep breath and relax yourself. Take another deep breath and relax it, and relax it. Eliminate violence.
Coming up, African emancipation celebrations build towards the big day. Crop over rolls towards its own colorful conclusion. One of this region's top banks continues to demonstrate the power to make a difference. Welcome to another award-winning Home Away from Home. Caribbean athletes ready for the world. Souvenirs stitched from scratch. It's all next on this station.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers. It's To The Point here on Classic Radio and GBN TV. We find our final segment of the program this morning. Mr. Bhola, welcome back. Mr. Bhola, my next question. We know the Hurricane Beryl has taken off a lot of attention of the what's happening within the new National Party as an opposition. Any update for us in terms of what's going on with the new National Party? We know we still to hear any updates on the convention and other activities as it relates to the new National Party?
Well, last time I was on, and I don't know if anyone else had mentioned it, we did mention that, yes, the convention was going to happen, that the planning is in an advanced stage. We're looking at the last quarter of the year. So to do so, And when I started, I said, well, we have our own internal issues that we are looking at internally. We were concerned about what was happening as a result of burial and, what level of suffering that our people are going through as a result of the disaster. So we are very cognizant, and we're working on getting things in place for those events.
All right. Well, we do, of course, once again, we invite you, listeners and viewers, if you do have a question or two you may like to ask Mr. Bhola, feel free to do it in this segment. 435-2041, that's the number you can call. You can do that, call that number also via WhatsApp, 435-2041, or you can call me directly. Let's take our first caller via WhatsApp. Caller via WhatsApp, good morning, you're welcome.
Hey, JT, good morning.
Good morning to you, sir.
JT, my phone making noise because I'm on the train. Mr. Bhola, I'm here on the train listening to you. And all I'm hearing is excuses as usual. Mr. Bhola, this weekend, right, you say about people are living in a humane condition and people need help. Your party had a big birthday party, all right? People are hurting and you decide to celebrate. You understand? There was a lady, all right, a family member of mine, who went over there to the party. Right? She had 2 children. She lost her house. His husband lost a boat. And they went over there to the party, and not even one thing was offered to them. All right? And you want to talk about what doing and what doing? My second thing, Mr. Bhola, Oliver Joseph had mentioned in the second quarter, you guys will be mentioning about the convention. We're going to be talking about itself. Why a date still not come up, okay? And then the third thing I have to say, Mr. Bhola, all right? Okay, you guys say you're solving Meals on Wheels, all right? There are NNP people calling Real FM, Mr. Pierre, and saying that they don't get no food, they're hurting, nothing reaching to them. So if you're solving Meals on Wheels, they say they have to go by the neighbor to get something to eat for the last couple of days since the hurricane passed. So how could you be solving Meals on Wheels? And these are NNP supporters are calling. You understand? And they say they're getting nothing. So you explain to Grenada now, how come you guys not reaching to the people? Mr. Bhola, the last thing I want to ask, okay? Okay, we know the government received some money through the cause of the insurance. Okay, but I heard on an NNP station saying that Nawasa and Glen was involved when they signed for the insurance of Grenada. Could you explain when the signature comes about and the payment was made for Nawasa and Glen to be included? Mr. Bhola, the last thing, are you willing to take a family member from Carrick who you say is displaced into your house temporarily until they could get back themselves together or the children could go to school? Thank you, Mr. Bhola.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. The caller spoke a lot of things. First, I don't know anything about any birthday party. I don't know who had a birthday party or where the birthday party was held. I don't know that our party, I know the party is celebrating 40 years and there have been a number of activities. I don't know if he's making mention of one of that, but I am not aware of the party celebrating a birthday party. I do know one of the initiatives that we had in planning for our 40th anniversary this weekend, this Sunday, we're supposed to have a sort of family day at the Old St. George Park in Victoria, and that activity is still on, and we have said that whatever proceeds come from that activity will go towards the relief effort for those who have been damaged. So that is still on. So quite clearly, I'm not aware of what he's talking about there with this birthday party. The second thing he talked about, maybe not the second, but the Meals on Wheels. When you asked me about initiatives, I said that was one of the initiatives. I never said that every single person in Carriacou was getting meals. And neither did I say that it was for NNP people. It was Meals and Wheels for those people who felt they couldn't afford or didn't have the means of getting a hot meal. And people are going. People, as a matter of fact, in the last week, the people have been talking about expanding what they do. They need more assistance. The party is getting the materials for them. They're providing it. So the party is not cooking and going and such for NNP people. People go and collect their food because because they think they need it, and they whatever the amount they provide on a daily basis is normally shared out. So if there are people who have not received, I'm sorry to hear, but maybe they can make themselves available, right? And to go look for. You also spoke something about what you heard on another station. I don't know the level of the discussion. I can't say that I heard this thing about Nawasa and Grenek. What I do know is that when the CRIF insurance was signed up, when the then government, the NNP, decided to take out the insurance, that the utility companies like Grenek and Nawasa and so was included. So I don't know what was said or in what manner it was said, but they were included to also benefit in cases of disaster, natural disasters like that. And should they have major damage, the insurance was supposed to pay out monies to them as well. That was based on what was signed up for. So what context he heard that information, I'm not sure.
Okay, we do have another caller. Caller, good morning, you're welcome.
Good morning, and good morning to Mr. Bhola.
Good morning.
According to the last caller, I mean, in a disaster, if it's what he says is true, somebody having a birthday party, there's nothing wrong with that, because people have to leave after a disaster. They have to continue to leave. So it's a good thing that they focus on life. But what I'm trying to figure out, because there's talk on the ground that before the hurricane, because in my capacity, it's my neighbor that really pushed me and tell me about the hurricane. I wasn't too aware of the hurricane or if it's going to come Grenada. And I spoke to a couple of guys from Carriacou, and they had the same kind of opinion. They were saying that they didn't thought you would come to Carriacou. But what was alarming is that the Prime Minister and the opposition leader, we heard that they were in Barbados watching cricket before the hurricane. And we heard that the opposition came back before the Prime Minister. Now, is that true or that's not true? That's what I want to know.
Thank you, caller.
Well,
Thank
I'm
you
not sure whether what. Are you finished?
Yeah, I think the caller is wrapped. So if you want to respond to the caller, go right ahead, please.
It would be out of my league to say whether it was true they were watching cricket or not. My knowledge is that from what I've heard is that the Prime Minister was out of the island at the time prior to the hurricane. Where he was or what he was doing, I never took any interest in that. Prime ministers are generally busy people. They have meetings in various places, and so I am not too sure where or what his dealings was prior to the hurricane.
We do have another caller. Caller via WhatsApp. Good morning. You're welcome. Let's hear from you.
Good morning.
Good morning to you, caller.
I heard Mr. Bhola spoke of many things that should be done or so in the effect of the hurricane. I would just want to know if there's any hindrance from this present government that is preventing him from doing all these things. I feel if it's not, he could get all the young workers on and go help clean up Carriacou.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much. 435-204. We may be able to entertain one more caller before we take a wrap for today's program. We have just about 1 minute or so before the top of the hour. Let's take our final caller for the morning. Caller via WhatsApp. Good morning. Let's hear from you. Good morning to you, caller.
Good morning, Mr. GT and Mr. Bhola. Good morning to you also.
Good morning.
I always believe knowledge is power and listening enlighten our knowledge. Many of the things I've heard Mr. Bhola mention that should be done and must be done speedily. I think I listened to GIS, GBN Newscast, some of the local journalists. I remember vividly Mr. Johnson Richards asking regards to the agriculture and what has to be done for farmers. And the Prime Minister said, well, they have a livelihood and they will look and ensure that the farmers get some benefit, they will be paid or whatever. Ms. Berland Isaac did an assessment as to a survey, cadastral survey assessment as to the housing damages and such. The Defense Force in Guyana, I heard on the GBN News and the Prime Minister said that 8 persons force assessed building, 50 troops come down, and with the material that come from Suriname and Guyana, they look at building that will need immediately be repaired so that they can house people. Yesterday, Mr. Sylvan McIntyre was on your program, Mr. Telesford, and he mentioned things have been done, but in a disaster, everything cannot just go hikey. And he mentioned that. In the morning, Mr. Innocent was on the program with some gentleman that brought down some people from Mexico and such. And they talk about the World Food Program. Over 3,000 people have been fed and given food on a daily basis. Yes, Mr. Bhola is quite right. If you don't get food, it's because some people don't put out themselves, they don't have maybe the means to reach them. But the people said food is not a problem in Carriacou. Others said that they repairing their home, putting on tarpaulin and different things. So what I think, things have been done. And finally, last night, if you have the opportunity, I want you to listen to the interview with a BBC journalist and the Prime Minister when they asked about how long it will take. And he stated some things clearly that ought to be done and have been done and would be done. So if you have a chance, Mr. Telesford, listen to that BBC interview, which lasts for approximately 15 minutes with the Prime Minister, and you'll hear a whole outline as to the means of going forward and how they will utilize the funds they have. And lastly, he said that preference in a GIS briefing would be given to the people of Carriacou first as a means of employment, as they will have to do cleanup for about 3 months onwards, and the people in Carriacou will be given the first preference. Thank you very much.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much. Any response to what the caller said, Mr. Bhola? We are a bit over time a wee bit, if you want to...
Yeah, I think the caller is right. These are the things that we were saying, that it cannot, and I did make that quite clear, it cannot be done all at the same time. There are some more difficult things that will take more time, more planning. However, the things that we can do, we'd like to see be done. The areas that can be repaired quickly, temporarily, things like that. Some of it is happening. I do know that the Ghana Defense Force, they have some members here and they came with some materials. I saw the Prime Minister present to receive some of the things they brought. So things like that, initiatives like that, we like it done. Carriacou and P.D. Martinique is the worst of it all, but we also cannot forget that there are some people on mainland, the Lever, Rose Hill, some parts of Sotez, and like I said, Victoria and St. Mark's and St. John's. We also need to pay attention to them and the farmers. So definitely the last caller was on board, and I just want to use the opportunity to thank you, GT, for affording me the opportunity. Thanks to GBN and to your listening public. And we do hope and pray that as the days and weeks go by, that things are only going to improve, and it will be a better day for those of us who have been hit hard by the hurricane. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Bhola. Thank you for being on the program this morning. Certainly hope you have a great day. What's left of it, and best wishes goes out to you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Hey, folks, that's where we take a wrap for this edition of To The Point. Join me again tomorrow for another edition. That's where we say goodbye for today. Goodbye, folks.